Hey everybody, welcome to Book Talks with Miss Thomas. I'm Miss Thomas, and if you like hearing about books, this is the right channel, but today, maybe not the right video. I do have some books I want to talk about. I'll put chapters at the end for the books I want to discuss, but I want to give you a little bit of a life update, and it starts with Amanda at Book Lover Amanda. So I have been feeling really discouraged lately, and I was supposed to film Wednesday, and then I was supposed to film Thursday, and yesterday was Thursday, and I was thinking, do I even want to keep this up? I mean, do I need to keep making these videos? Why am I doing this? And Amanda mentioned me in a video this morning, and it was just so refreshing to see her. She's so cheerful and so excited and fun about books, and it made me want to get on here too. So thank you, Amanda, for that. I've had a rough year. I'm a teacher and I had a health scare this year. I've mentioned it in a few other videos. I am fine, but you know how it goes. The doctors found a little spot and they thought it could be cancer. And so they ran every possible test that I can think of and decided, no, it's just a spot. But it's been a rough year, you know, dealing with that. Could I have cancer? Could I be dying? And one thing that came from that made me it renewed my faith, because I did realize, well, if I'm dying, I'm going to the Lord, and I'm so ready for that. Like, I really did have no hesitation about going on to, because eternity has already begun. So going on to the next place in my eternal journey, I guess. I did think about the things I'd be leaving behind though. And, it's made me want to clean up my stuff. I don't want to go and leave a bunch of stuff behind. So I've been trying to go a little minimalist, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, and books that I've read. But another funny thing that came from that is I thought, well, if I'm dying, why am I putting up with this? And so I got a lot less intolerant, I guess, a lot less tolerant of things that are silly and petty and unhealthy. And so that was a little bit funny. I'm not going to go into that, but sometimes there's like, I don't know, I'm going to make this up as an example, but let's say people are gossiping and being mean. And in that moment, I'd be thinking, I don't have to listen to this. I could be dying, And so I might say, I really don't want to sit here and gossip. So I'm going to talk about something else. It made me a little bit bolder, a little bit more outspoken. And that's a made up example. I try not to gossip. Let's see. It also helped me to realize that if I am going to die, then what have I left behind? Is there anyone I need to speak to? Anyone I need to be more open with about the Lord or about, my beliefs? Do I have any ill will that I need to clean up before I go? And so it's just been a really rough year in that I've been truly faced with the possibility of death, and I'm not dying, but it forced me to sift through a lot of things, and I think it's all good. God is good, and so it's been quite a year. Let me just leave it at that. And because of that, the school year ended, and it's been raining and cold here. And the pool has been closed. I keep getting these emails from the pool. We're very sorry, but it's too cold to have the pool open today. It's an act of God. You don't need to apologize. But because I can't go to the pool and I'm stuck in the house and it's cold and it's raining, why not declutter? So I've watched a lot of decluttering videos, and I will put a picture of all that I've accomplished. I decluttered, and this is my pickup for Purple Heart. They are coming today. Hopefully, they're supposed to. And I did a video last year. I think it was called Clean With Me. It was like a clean with me and read with me. And I listened to audiobooks while I cleaned. And it took several days and a lot of work. And then I did get an end result, and I think I shared this closet. So why not film here? Let me show you real quick. I got all these little baskets and started organizing that way. And that's worked for me. I did get rid of a lot of stuff. This year, I got rid of a lot more stuff. And so I've been watching the experts, and by the experts, I mean Dawn from Minimal Mom, and Robin has a channel. I can't remember the name of it, but I've been watching her a lot lately. And Robin especially says that it's important to declutter routinely, to often go through and declutter, and it's a process. And I'm glad that she said that it's a process, because I am feeling like, wow, I spent a week on this and here I am doing it again. But the thing is, it's a year later and I'm doing it again. And for me, that's okay. I'm a teacher. I can't really devote a lot of time to organizing and cleaning during the school year. You know, I'm lucky if I can just stay on top of the necessary things like the kitchen and the bathroom. But I every June I say, wow, I've got a lot of stuff. I gotta declutter. And I will say that last year when I did this, it took a week. This year it took 2 days. Last year it took all day long. This year it took a few hours each day. So it does get easier. It gets a lot easier, because I think the whole decluttering process, learning it, was painful, but doing it now, I have a more clear idea of who I am and what I want and what I like and what I don't like. And so it's easier to part with things. I am a Christian booktuber, and so I will also say that I did pray about it. I said, you know, Lord, help me to have discernment to know what to part with and what to keep. And I prayed often, not just once before decluttering. I prayed often, especially during the school year when I was aware of all the clutter and all the things going on. You know, clutter in my mind, if, you know, the health problems and the clutter in the house, and then just trying to stay above water with everything, with work and with family and with home. I have been praying a lot this year. God, please help me not to be too attached to this world, but to know your will and to do your will, and your will is eternal. And so I have worked really hard to sort of unwrap myself uncurl my fingers from the things of this world, you know? So yeah, I like clothes. I have a lot of stuff, but I'm trying to become less attached to it. So that's the decluttering that I've been doing, and I've been doing that instead of my book videos. So I apologize for that. But I did want to tell you, I have been listening to some audiobooks while I've been decluttering, and I'm going to talk about some good books. And also, I've been watching the Hallmark channel. So I don't know, does anybody remember Full House and Deej? I think it was Deej. Is it Cameron Bure? Her name is Cameron Bure now. Oh my gosh, her first name escapes me. But I love her, and she is a Christian, and she was in Hallmark movies. I know she got mad at Hallmark, but does that mean I can't watch her old movies? I mean, I'm watching her old movies, and they are lovely. And what I do is I take all my junk and I surround myself with it, and I watch her movies, and I sort through. She has these Aurora Tea Garden mysteries, and I've been watching them, and they're very good. And I've also been watching Murder, She Baked. There's some Murder, She Baked, and they're based on the Joanne Fluke books, and those are on the Hallmark channel. So, you know, sit down in front of a good Hallmark movie and get some roll up your sleeves and get some cleaning done. That's what I've been doing instead of booktubing. Another thing I want to say, about decluttering, is Shopping on Champagne is a channel that I really enjoy. I've been watching it lately. It's kind of a new to me channel, Shopping on Champagne. And it's this woman, she's in Southern California, and she's over 50, and she's a Lily Pulitzer girl. She wears a lot of Lily Pulitzer colorful clothes. And of course I shopped for Lily Pulitzer before I realized, that's not me. Why am I trying to be like her? You know, so I did not buy Lily Pulitzer, but I did take her advice about makeup. And I want to say that while I'm going off script today, she had this little makeup bag, and she's like, this is my makeup. And I thought, you know what? I know I used to put on a lot of makeup, and when I was younger, you know, I like to get all done up, but I don't wear much makeup either anymore. And so I'm going to share with you real quick. This is my makeup bag. This is my holy grail. I like this CC cream. I think it's called It Cosmetics. It has the CC cream, and they go on sale. If I just watch the sale and stock up. And then I like this. Now, I have used a lot of high-end concealers, but this is the one I like. You can tell it's what do they say? It's hit the pan. I'm out, you know. I have a backup, but I go through this. I love this stuff. And then I just take this bronzer and go over my face just to add a little pop of color. And I love lipstick, so I'm not wearing this now, but this is my favorite lipstick. I can only get it from Amazon. It's Revlon Color Stay. Actually, if you look carefully, I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but this is almost empty too. I go through this. I love this stuff. And on Amazon, you can click the faces, and you can take a picture of your face, but I just click a face that looks like mine and see how the colors look on that face. It's kind of fun. And that's how I find the right color. And the only other thing I found on Hot and Flashy, I forget her name, but the girl on Hot and Flashy suggested these, and I love these. I just take my finger and I swipe it over my eyelid, and it gives me just that little pop of color. And I like this one and this one, the light and the dark. I have also used a lot of high-end stuff, and what is it? MAC Cosmetics, they have the paint pots, and I'll use those as well. They're nice too. But I like the blingy kind. I mean, I know when you're over 50, you're not supposed to sparkle. I don't remember why, but I like the sparkle. And, oh, the other thing that I absolutely have to do is eyebrows. So I take a little brush and I just brush this Anastasia over my eyebrows. So that, since I know this is supposed to be a BookTube channel, and they say it's very bad to talk about things other than your content area. So I will do chapters if you want to know about the books I'm reading. I'm going to talk about that too. But I've been doing so many other things lately. I feel a need to share those things with you because Amanda gets out there and she talks about her life. I know she's protective of her privacy, as am I, and I appreciate that. But still, there's some transparency. I think it's important to say, I'm struggling with clutter. I really wondered this year what could be going on in my future, and eternally, how do I feel about that? So why not share that with you? Tonight, other thing I want to say real quick before I get into the books. Tonight, my friend and I, a very dear friend, I don't have her permission to say her name on YouTube, but we get together usually once a week for dinner, and we've both been trying to lose a little bit of weight. I have lost 4 pounds since the school year ended, and I kind of knew I would. I kind of knew like it was just a real stressful year, and that's how I deal with stress, I guess. And now that the school year is over and I can take a step back and I can declutter my life, why not declutter my eating habits? So I have been working on that as well. And we usually go out to eat, and I texted her today and I said, instead of going out to eat, let's get together and do crafts. And she said, sure, you bring a salad and I'll grill. So yay, there's nothing like a good girlfriend, somebody who can like help you and be honest with you and be real with you. And so we're going to have healthy eating tonight and do crafts. Now, this is what we're going to do. I saw this on Pinterest and I thought it would be fun, and I shared this in another video. So, hello. You just take these scraps of fabric and you rip them up and you tie them onto one of these metal wreaths. And it was funny because I just ripped up a bunch of fabric and put it on here. And this is my idea of art. My friend, however, because we all need that friend that's different from us, that balances us. She cuts and measures and does everything so precisely. This is hers. So look at that though. Isn't that like, this one's slop and this one's so lovely. So she gave me this as a gift. And this one, I told my husband to give this to charity. It's supposed to be outside with the Purple Heart donation. But of course, he didn't even think this was good enough for Purple Heart, I guess. So it's going to go in the trash. But this one is in our house. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to make wreaths tonight. I'm going to use a page from her book, and I'm going to cut and measure, and I'm going to make a bicentennial wreath. Actually, I'll look for it. I think I have it. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it for you. I found it. And while I was looking for it, Green Drop came. So I can tell my friend tonight when we get together and eat healthy that I've actually lost over 20 pounds because of all the clothes that were taken. Yay! I don't think that counts. But it kind of goes together, I think. I think if you can declutter your life, then it leads to other healthy things. But this is the wreath. I got it at the dollar store. And I got these fabrics from Walmart. So I thought this would be pretty for a 4th of July wreath, this one, and then just plain navy fabric. And I also have this. I don't know if I'm going to use it. I probably won't because I think it detracts from the bandana print. And then originally my friend and I, we were looking at making watermelon wreaths. So I found this watermelon fabric and just plain green fabric. I don't know if we're going to do that. I just want a 4th of July wreath. And so she has this cutting thing, and I guess it's for quilting. And we just measure, I don't know exactly the measurement, she would know. We measure the fabric, and then she does the little pinking shears on the end so that you can have just pretty little edges. So that's what I'm gonna do tonight, eat healthy and make a wreath. What are you doing on Friday night? Hopefully something healthy. All right, let me tell you about the books I've been reading. Yay, time to talk books. So while I'm on the subject of life update, in another video, I had mentioned how very much I loved this book, and I loved this book. 5-star read, recommended by Stacy. Wonderful, wonderful book. Recommend Stacy too. So this was a really good book. And I had said in the video, it was Book Blessings from Stacy. I talked about this book, and I said that I would like to do a book club where we talk about this book. And I mentioned it to my pastor, and he said that I could use the church, but it wouldn't be a church sponsored event because, you know, it hasn't been approved and read, and he doesn't know if there's anything in it that, you know, so anyway, but I can use the church facility. So I'm going to use, we have an outdoor pavilion. I'm going to use the outdoor pavilion, and I've invited some friends, and I mentioned it at church. And everyone who has looked into this book and started reading it has said to me, thank you so much. I love this book. It's really good. You know, I had people say, I couldn't put it down. I had to know how it ended. Really very good book. Everyone I've recommended it to has enjoyed it. We're going to have a book discussion. I'm going to get like a charcuterie board because in the book, the girl, the main character, this character, she lives on her father's orchard. It's like a winery orchard. And I'm not going to serve wine, but I'm going to have, you know, like orchard style, like cheese and crackers and grapes and grape juice, and we'll sit outside and discuss this wonderful book. So this is a book I reviewed in another video. I'm not going to talk about it now, except to say that it's biblical fiction. And this girl, she was taken and she was abducted at, I think, age 13, and she was branded on her face for prostitution. And then she's rescued by the Israelites. And fortunately, so there's no trigger warnings except the branding, which doesn't get too graphic. But then she goes back to the Israelites. But to me, the way the Israelites treated her and all the rumors that surrounded her were just so heartbreaking. And I feel like it's something women should talk about because we're all victims of gossip in one way or another, whether we have contributed to gossip or been gossiped about. I think that it's something women, especially godly women, should confront and talk about. So I want to talk about that with my book discussion, but I also want to talk about the lovely things in the book and what's not to like about cheese. And a charcuterie board, you know, cheese and crackers. Okay, so that's another book that I have read, but I wanted to let you know I'm doing a discussion. I don't know if I'm going to do a whole video on Harlan Coben or not. If you know me as a reader at all, you've probably heard me say Harlan Coben is my favorite author. I have to say he was my favorite author. I have had it with Harlan Coben. I loved many of his books, loved them for years. And so my son asked me, hey, what would you like for Mother's Day? And I said, well, you can't go wrong with Harlan Coben. He's got a new book out. So my son bought me I Will Find You by Harlan Coben, and I read it. And I did finish it. I would give it 3 stars to be, you know, spoiler alert, 3 stars. I recommend it if you're not a discerning, that sounds awful. Should I edit that? I recommend it if you're not a discerning reader. What I mean by that is there's some stuff in here. I think he took it too far. And I may do a rant, but I love Harlan Coben. I love so many of his books. I don't want to badmouth him. But the last 3 books I've read by him, I feel like he's taken it too far. Just shock value. And in this case, the shock value was unnecessary. I actually went back after I finished the book and went back to the really disgusting shock value passage and tried to connect it to the plot. And I can't. There was this scene, it was like this violent prison scene, and I could not figure out why it was there. It was just there for shock value, and it was disgusting. And I really could have done without it. So the book itself, you know, Harlan Coben is a great mystery writer. He keeps you guessing. That's the other thing, though. I figured this one out about a third in. So it didn't keep me guessing. And it was some disgusting stuff. So yeah, I read it. I think I don't want to badmouth Harlan Coben, and I might do a video on the books I used to love. Like, he wrote some really good ones. This one I didn't like, When I didn't like, and Runaway I didn't like. And I just thought he took it too far. You know, it was just too graphic, too disgusting, and not even necessary, you know? Okay, but I still love you, buddy. Fool Me Once is still my favorite book. Let's go back to Fool Me Once and The Stranger. Those were good. All right. The last book. Well, no, there's two. That's right. There's two. Okay. So another book that I read that I really enjoyed, and I heard about it, I think, on Katie's Paperback and Ponytails, and that is 3 by Ted Dekker. And I finished this book. And this one I really liked. I would highly recommend. And this is a Christian book, but it's very kooky. And a friend of mine, she said, well, I've read Ted Dekker, but he kind of gets into spiritual warfare. And, you know, I don't really enjoy reading about that. So I'm not opposed to reading about spiritual warfare. I have read books about spiritual warfare. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the idea of evil and good doing battle in the world. Because the Bible does say, you know, Satan says to Jesus on the mountain, he says, if you bow to me, I will give you this world. I'm prince of it. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, you know, Satan is the prince of this world. But it says that in the Bible. Jesus is obviously the king of all eternity, but there is an enemy. And so Ted Dekker, I guess, addresses that in his books. And I personally enjoyed it very much. There's this guy, and he's in his car and he's driving, and I think he's like a philosophy student, and he's driving along and his cell phone rings, and the guy says, you have 3 minutes to figure out this riddle or I'm going to blow up your car. And so the guy manages to get out of the car and the car explodes. And so then there's these characters, there's an FBI agent, and then there's the police. And of course, you know, a lot of these mystery books, they have the FBI and the police butting heads. They're all looking for this guy that goes around. I think he's called like the Riddler. Not to confuse you with Batman's Riddler, but I forget what he's called. But he makes these riddles, and then if you don't solve them, he kills you. And so all these people are hunting down this guy, and this philosophy student is in the middle of it. And the premise of the book is scriptural, and it is, I should know, shame all over me because I should know the passage, but here it is. Can I just say, my pastor spent years on the book of Romans. If you go to my church, don't tell pastor. No, pastor can know. I'm laughing at him. He spent a lot of time on Romans. Romans is an important book. I'm not criticizing him, okay? But it did kind of get to be a running joke in our church. Like, are we still on Romans? But so I should know this inside out. But the premise of the book is Romans 7:15-25. I do not understand what I do. It is no longer I myself who do it, but it is in sin living in me. For what I do is not good. It's not what I want to do. The evil I do not want to do. This I keep on doing. I find this law at work. When I want to do good, evil is right there with me. And it goes into the whole passage in Romans. So yeah, I should have known that. I should have known that like right off the top of my head. My pastor, if he's watching, he's like, you fail. You have to sit through another sermon on Romans. But anyway, yeah, I loved this book. And I have to tell you too, I've been going through, you know, some spiritual, not darkness exactly, but just having trouble finding the motivation and the time to sit down with God. I'm getting a lot better at that. But one day I said, and I was in the middle of this book. I didn't realize the book was headed toward that passage. And I said, God, help me, please. Just give me the motivation and the desire to sit with you just for a few minutes and read your word. And I opened up to that passage. And then I finished this book, and that was the passage. And I thought, okay, God, you get it. You love me anyway. You know, I battle with, this world and all the things going on in this world, and yet you love me anyway. So that's exciting. And I really feel like a little kiss from Jesus. Like he just told me that. He showed me the passage, and then he showed it again in this book. And he's saying, I understand. Okay. I don't condone you avoiding your time with me or whatever other worldly things you get sucked into, but I do understand, and I love you anyway. Come back to me. All right. So that is that. Another thing I want to say though, before I get into my last book, which I loved, 5-star read, but I've also been reading the book of Galations this week. So every day I've been reading a little bit about Galations, and, just a chapter. Actually, I was so interested in chapter 1, I went right into chapter 2, and I'm just dwelling on the book of Galations for what it's worth. I think my pastor's in Ephesians. Okay. The last book that I read. The last book I want to talk about is a really good one. I saved the best for last, but I will put in chapters. So the last one is called Between Two Strangers, and I really enjoyed this book. It was one of those books, it was a worth the wait book. I've been on hold for a lot of books on my Libby app. I may do another worth the wait video, but this one was Between Two Strangers, and it was the story of Chloe, who is this artist, and she makes a living, I believe, in New York as an artist. And she gets a call from an attorney, and the attorney says, you need to come meet with me because you've inherited money from this guy, Christopher Whalen. And she does not remember who Christopher Whalen is, and she can't understand why she would have inherited so much money. I think there's a glare. Let me take these off. So she meets with the lawyer, and she realizes, Christopher Whalen is CJ. And CJ is this guy that she had a one-night stand with, I think 10 years ago, long time ago, just a one-night stand. And it's not a Christian book, but it's a good book. And the book doesn't really get into there's no heaving. The book doesn't get into that, okay? So I do think it's an okay book for a Christian to read, and I really enjoyed it. So she does say, CJ's this guy I had a one-night stand with. And for some unknown reason, he's left her a lot of money. And his wife, she didn't know he was married, but his wife is really mad about that. And then some creepy things start happening to her, and she's thinking, oh no, is the wife out to get me? What's this about? And there's all these really rich, creepy people. And then there's the main character, Skylar. She just wants to do her art and have a baby. So she's hoping that the money that she's inherited from this guy, CJ, can help her to go to a fertility clinic and get pregnant because she wants a baby. She doesn't want a man, but she wants a baby. So again, if you're a Christian, you take issue with that, then maybe this book isn't for you. I do not take issue with that. I have 2 children, and they both come from my husband the natural way, but we did consider an infertility clinic because I had some miscarriages. We decided against that, but I'm not opposed to that. I'm not at all opposed to that. So I'm not placing judgment there. She wants to have a baby. That's what she wants to do with the money that she's inherited from CJ. But there's all these creepy things going on, and the weird wife and all the weird rich people. Now, as the story unfolds, and I'm not giving anything away, but as the story unfolds, you find out that Skylar lost her sister, Chloe. And Skylar has this really damaged relationship with her mother because Skylar went to a party with her sister, Chloe, and on that night, Chloe disappeared. And the mother has never quite forgiven Skylar for that. So the book reflects on Skylar's relationship with Chloe, Skylar's relationship with her mother, and how this one-night stand fits into all of that. And so it was a really good page-turning mystery. It was an audio for me, so what would that be? A page-listening mystery? You don't hear the pages in an audiobook, but it was good. It was very good. between two strangers. What do these two strangers have in common? And why would this one stranger leave all this money to Skylar? And there is a reason. And it was just a really good novel that had rich character development, and just, I loved it. I love the family dynamic and the different characters and the mystery behind it. So those are my books that I've listened to and read, and a little update about me. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you in the next video.